Hello, folks. So we are here for another session of UPSC Prelims 2026 360 plus high probability topics. We have already done polity, economy, environment, science and technology, and history, art and culture. We are here for geography now. So let's proceed. Uh, we'll cover the topics like Indian monsoon, its mechanisms and variability, rivers of India, systems and issues, global choke points in maritime geography, minerals distribution and economic geology, agriculture cropping patterns and issues, cyclones, heat waves and disaster events, and soils, land degradation and desertification. The common theme among all of this is it is based on the patterns from 2018 to 2025 of various UPSC exams like CSE and CDS. And we have tried to combine static concepts, evergreen topics, PYQs, and current affairs together to give you a very high dose of good revision, which will help you benchmark your aggregated or consolidated memory and knowledge till now. Let's start. So, starting with Indian monsoons, the mechanism and variability of it. Southwest monsoon mechanism. It starts due to differential heating of land, low pressure, versus sea, which has high pressure, and ITCZ. I hope everybody understands the mechanisms of different ITCZs. In geography, going through class 11th and 12th books for geography by NCRT becomes extremely important. In fact, that is the static knowledge which you would require. And concepts like differential heating, ITCZ, how does it move during summers and winters becomes very important to revise again. These are the latitudes in which different shifts happen from 5 to 15 degree north. And you have seen the different questions every year come from either ITCZ CZ shifting or for monsoon pressure areas. Tibetan Plateau thermal effect, which is like acts like an elevated heat sink or source, and then Mascarene High of Southeast Indian Ocean. You need to understand where does the Mascarene High starts and where does it end. Basically, the entire southwest monsoon mechanism combines two things. One, your knowledge of the map, and then your knowledge of atmospheric systems. You would get to know how African continent, the Horn of Africa, as well as the Madagascar island plays an important part in forming of Mascarene highs. Then in ITCZ, how does the Tibetan Plateau play a part of it? So go through the static part of the formation of southwest monsoon, understand its mechanism. It becomes very important because this year we will have a super El Nino event, which means lower monsoons for India, which would directly hamper our food security and farmers and the entire agricultural economy of the country. We as a country are still dependent upon agriculture, where 50 to 60% of our population is dependent on it, and 16 to 17% of our GDP depends on it. So, in a country which is dependent upon monsoons for its agriculture and GDP, understanding the monsoon mechanism and what would be the effects of a super El Nino, which is projected for this year, would have becomes very important. Concepts like Indian Ocean dipole, where a positive IOD has warm Western Indian Ocean and cool Eastern Indian Ocean. This leads to enhanced Indian monsoon. Negative IOD, where cool Western Indian Ocean and warm Eastern Indian Ocean leads to weak Indian monsoon. Now, one mechanism we saw was differential heating of land and sea, ITCZ, Mascarene High, and Tibetan Plateau thermal effect. IOD also plays a very important role in it. In 2019, extreme positive IOD Indian Ocean dipole was formed, which lead to enhanced monsoon. Similarly, in 2023, and IOD is measured by dipole mode index called DMI. ENSO effect. So El Nino, which is warm Eastern Pacific, it suppresses the monsoon via Walker circulation. Now you need to understand how does the entire El Nino and La Nina events occur and what we mean by Walker circulation. So due to Walker circulation weakening and descent over South Asia, El Nino effect is formed. La Nina is basically cool Eastern Pacific Ocean, which leads to enhanced monsoon. So whenever El Nino happens, we have a weak monsoon in India, and La Nina leads to enhanced monsoons. Well, it is not absolute, where 2009 was an El Nino year with good monsoon in some parts, but majorly, whenever El Nino movements happens, our monsoon gets weakened and we face agricultural stress. In fact, you would have seen that India has banned the exports of sugarcane, which is $100 billion export market globally, and we were the largest exporters because of two things. One, production of ethanol to suppress our fuel dependency or to enhance our energy security, and also due to the expectation of a weak monsoon, the government is taking such steps. So you need to connect all these things together to your static, which is geography and El Nino, and how does a monsoon effect play out. We also have something called Madden-Julian oscillation, or MJO, which is a 30 to 60 day eastward propagating tropical convective anomaly. Now it happens in tropic, and if it is convective in nature because it is happening through fluids, and it is an anomaly which happens for 30 to 60 day eastward movement. During active phase over Indian Ocean, it leads to enhanced monsoon, while during inactive phase, it leads to breaks in monsoon. IMD now uses MJO for extended range forecasting of 2 to 4 weeks. So as we are understanding more about atmospheric sciences through our understanding of models, better sensors, and also AI coming into play, where we can have massive data sets to be trained and found out correlations of how any weather event happens, terms like MJO would come up, and we would understand better how these are affecting our own southwest monsoon. Atmospheric rivers, well, these are narrow corridors of concentrated atmospheric moisture transport. These are linked to extreme rainfall events. For example, Wayanad in 2024 was an atmospheric river event where a 24-hour rainfall exceeded to 200 millimeter. And AR detection, or atmospheric river detection, is now a part of IMD forecasting. So basically, ARs are very narrow or concentrated atmospheric moisture transport. So you have a narrow corridor in the atmosphere where you have very high moisture, which leads to extreme rainfall events. Atmospheric rivers is one of the important concepts which you should know about. What is monsoon onset? Well, monsoon generally onsets in the first week of June in Kerala, June 1 plus minus 7 days, and withdrawal starts from northwestern Rajasthan around September 1. The spatial distribution is huge, and Cherrapunji and Mawsyn Ram have the wettest orographic. These are the wettest orographic regions in Meghalaya. In fact, Mawsyn Ram holds the world record for most rainfall throughout the year, and Jaisalmer is the driest. Western Ghats receive heavy rainfall due to the windward side, so you should know about the windward side and leeward side of the monsoon. Also, how if there is a mountain range which is directly perpendicular to the pathway or the direction of the monsoon, it would lead to the breakage in the monsoon, or you would have a windward or a leeward side. While if a mountain range is parallel to the direction of the monsoon, then it would not have much effect on stopping of the monsoons. And hence, Himalayas actually act as barriers which do not let the moisture-laden clouds flow into the Tibetan Plateau. So, Tibetan Plateau is an extremely dry region, while we have most of the rainfall happening in India. Now, which are the rivers of India, systems and issues? We have Himalayan rivers, which are perennial, like the Indus River, starts from Tibetan region of China, flows through J&K and then to Pakistan. It has more than 3,000 kilometers of length. Its tributaries are Satluj, Beas, and Ravi, which are the eastern tributaries, and they were given to India by Indus Water Treaty. Now, Indus Water Treaty has been kept in abeyance by India after the Pahalgam attack. Ganga also starts from Gangotri Glacier and flows to Bay of Bengal, one of the longest rivers of the world, and also supports the most amount of population in the world in any river basin. It has the largest population density. Yamuna, Ghagra, Son, Gandak, and Kosi are the tributaries of Ganga. Brahmaputra starts from Chemayungdung Glacier in Tibet. It flows through Assam, Bangladesh, and it is longest in India with the widest valley. One important part about Brahmaputra is that China is building a massive dam in its part of Tibet on Brahmaputra, and there are concerns about a water bomb, as well as using water as a strategic weapon against India. One good thing is that 60 to 70% of the entire water which is spread into Brahmaputra happens in Indian territory, specifically from Arunachal Pradesh. Peninsular rivers are seasonal or rain-fed. West-flowing rivers include Narmada, which starts from Amarkantak Valley, which is a rift valley, and it ends in an estuary. We also have Tapti, which starts from Satpura ranges. We have Periyar and Shravati River. East-flowing major rivers are Mahanadi and Godavari. Godavari starts from Sahyadri, and it's the longest peninsular river with about 1465 km of length. We also have Krishna River starting from Mahabaleshwar and Kaveri River starting from Brahmagiri in Coorg. So when we are studying the static geography in UPSC, and we study about the river systems in our country, it becomes very important to know about the major rivers, their tributaries, their origins, from which glaciers, their pathways, major cities which they go through. And the flip side is also very important. For major cities, which are the different rivers which feed into it? For major glaciers, which are the rivers which come out of it? You also need to connect the various geopolitical and international relations happening around different rivers like Brahmaputra, Teesta, Indus, the rivers related to Indus Water Treaty, and then the state contentions between rivers like Krishna, Kaveri, etc. Then there is Kane-Betwa Link Project, which is the first river linking project under construction from 2024. We have a Daudhan Dam to be built on Kane River in Panna Tiger Reserve. It is controversial because it submerged part of the Tiger Reserve of Panna, and it transfers water from Ken River of MP to the Betwa River in the region of MP and UP, which will lead to irrigation of more than 48 lakh hectares. So the region which is essentially dry, Bundelkhand region and other regions, they will get better irrigation with the river interlinking of Ken and Betwa. National Water Development Agency was formed in 1982. It is under the Jal Shakti Ministry. 30 interbasin links have been identified, 14 for 16 peninsular rivers and 14 Himalayan rivers. So essentially, the plan is that if we can uh, connect different rivers which have flooding problems and which are perennial to the rivers which are seasonal and have more drought issues, then we can connect an interconnected grid of irrigation network throughout the country, which will not only lead to water availability, but will also aid in agricultural input and productivity. Estimated cost of this is about 6 lakh crore rupees, and it has socio-ecological and interstate political hurdles which act as major barriers. So NWDA has identified 30 inter-basin links, 16 peninsular and 14 Himalayan rivers. What are the major dams controversies? One is Polavaram Dam, which is a national project on Godavari in AP, Andhra Pradesh. Then we have, so there is rehabilitation and regulation issues with the tribal population. So whenever you construct a dam, large part of lands get submerged. So we have seen in Kane Betwa Link, a part of Tiger Reserve would be submerged. In case of Polavaram, a lot of villages of tribal population would get submerged. These issues become, they transcend from being just geographical issues to socio-political and also human-related issues. And hence, they are tricky to handle. They need to a lot of empathy as well as socio-economic and anthropological knowledge by the government for have equitable outcomes for all the people who are impacted. It will also generate about 900 plus megawatts of power. Then there is Sardar Sarovar Dam on Narmada, which led to Narmada Bachao Andolan because about 1.2 lakh hectares of land was getting submerged. We also have Tehri Dam, which lead to more than 1 lakh people being displaced in Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand. Interstate river disputes are governed by Article 262 and also by ISRWD Act of 1956. Active tribunals by these articles and this act are the Kaveri Tribunal between Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Kerala, and Puducherry in 1990, and the final order came in 2018. We also have the Krishna Tribunal for Karnataka, AP, Telangana, and Maharashtra. We have Mahanadi Tribunal for Odisha and Chhattisgarh, and Mahadai Tribunal for Goa, Karnataka, and Maharashtra. There is also a Kalasa Banduri barrage dispute. So one should know about the interstate river disputes governed by the article and this act, and which are the active interstate disputes which are going on. What are the global choke points in maritime geography? We have the Strait of Hormuz, which is in news due to the US-Iran war. It is its narrowest point is about 30 kilometers or 33 kilometers, and 30% of the entire world's seaborne crude, as well as 20% of LNG, flows through this strait. We are facing fuel crisis in our country and also globally. In fact, our PM has also highlighted that the world could be pushed to poverty, a large part of the world population, and decades of good work of development across the world may be erased due to this fuel shortage if Strait of Hormuz is not opened like before the war and the crude prices do not go down. Iran repeatedly threatened to close it, and India imports 60% of its oil from Gulf, and most of its natural gas imports are also happened from Gulf. It passes through Strait of Hormuz. Drone attacks on tankers have also happened on Indian uh, ships in this war. Then we have another very important strait, which is Bab-el-Mandeb, Yemen, Djibouti, Eritrea. It is called the Gate of Grief because it has a lot of piracy problem from Somalian coast. At its narrowest, it is 29 kilometer wide. It connects the Red Sea to Gulf of Aden and then to Indian Ocean. The Houthi attacks on commercial ships have happened from November 2023 onwards. In fact, our marine commandos have also taken various operations to free our ships and to maintain freedom of navigation, which are called FONOPs. So, Bab-el-Mandeb also has become a choke point for global navigation. And Indian Red Sea trade is about more than 200 billion annually, which is at risk. If we go through the Cape of Good Hope route, which is going through the entire African subcontinent, it adds about 3,500 kilometers in navigation and 10 to 14 days, which is a huge cost for the entire economy of India and globally also. Strait of Malacca, well, it has India, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Singapore. And in fact, it's at its narrowest point near Singapore. It is only 2.8 kilometer wide. 25% of the world's trade and 80% of China's oil imports flow through this. And that's why it is called Malacca dilemma for China. In fact, India is trying to develop the Great Nicobar Island strategically to have better control of the Strait of Malacca, which will amount to 25% of world's trade. Piracy is historically low, in fact, very reduced in near times. The alternatives to Strait of Malacca are Sunda Strait, Lombok Strait. So, as I told in my previous videos also, that you should go through that entire region of Southeast Asia on maps and you should go through the different seas, islands, and countries. You should be able to arrange them from north to south and east to west so that you not only know the names of those places, but also you know exactly where those places, those straits, those seas, and those countries exist. Then we have Suez pipeline for Egypt, which is a Suez Mediterranean pipeline. It has also been asked in PYQ. It runs from Ain Sokhna Red Sea to Sidi Kerer Mediterranean. Alternative is Suez Canal, which had become unusable due to evergreen ship disaster, if you'd remember. So these are alternative routes or choke points where if something bad happens, then the entire global economy gets hurt due to it. Then we have the Panama Canal, which connects Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. Due to drought in 2024, it reduced transit capacity by 40% because it is dependent on water-dependent locks. And then there are alternatives where you have to take the entire cargo through rail across Panama or Cape Horn. It is critical for US and East Coast Asia trade. We also have the Indian Ocean region, IOR. Sagar Doctrine has been given by the current government, which means security and growth for all in the region in 2050. India's exclusive economic zone is about 2.37 million square kilometer because our coast itself is more than 7,500 square kilometers. Indian Ocean region accounts for 80% of world's oil trade. This is very important to note. And that's why this entire Asian, East Asian, Southeast Asian, and South Asian region is dependent on the oil from the Gulf, which amounts to 80% of the world's oil trade. Indian Ocean Rim Association was formed in 1997, and there is also something called Indo-Pacific Oceans Initiative (IPOI). So basically now, for India, the Indian Ocean region becomes strategically, economically, for energy security, food security, very important, and hence we have initiatives like Sagar and IORA for ensuring freedom of navigation and operations. Then we come on to minerals, distribution and economic geology. We have Chota Nagpur Plateau across Jharkhand, Odisha, West Bengal, and Chhattisgarh, which is called Ruhr of India. So Ruhr is one of the coal-rich region, a coal and iron-rich region in Germany. We have also iron ore in Jharkhand, Odisha. We have Bailadila mines. Then we have coal in Jharia, Raniganj, and Talcher. Manganese in Odisha and Maharashtra. Copper in Singhbhum. Bauxite, where Odisha leads 70% of the reserves. It is very important that Chota Nagpur plateau is extremely rich in minerals. In fact, most of the GSDP, gross state domestic product of states like Jharkhand, Odisha, happens due to the mineral wealth. So you should understand these terms. You should understand the important places and minerals like iron ore, coal, manganese, bauxite, and copper, where they are found. And Ruhr is in Germany, which is famous for its coal mines. Then we have iron ore. India has the fourth largest reserves globally of iron ore. Odisha, Barbil, Noamundi mines, Chhattisgarh, Bailadila mines, and Jharkhand account for 80% of the entire reserves of India. In Karnataka, we have some mines like Bellary, Hospet, Sandur complex. In Goa, we have laterite-based mines for iron ore. India exports ore to Japan, South Korea, and China. In coal, India has the fifth largest coal reserves, around 320 billion tons. The types are anthracite in Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. In fact, we have very less quantities of anthracite, and we import a lot of high quality anthracite coal from Australia and other countries. We have large quantities of bituminous and sub-bituminous in Gondwana, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, West Bengal, Chhattisgarh, and AP, and lignite coal in Tamil Nadu, Neyveli, Rajasthan, Barmer. Gondwana coalfields account for 98% of India's total coal reserves. So Gondwana coalfields, one should remember, it is in the region of Jharkhand, MP, West Bengal, Chhattisgarh, and AP. They account for 98% of India's total coal reserves. And India itself is fifth largest in coal reserves. Then petroleum and natural gas, major basins are Mumbai High, which is an offshore basin, which has a capacity of 6 metric tons per annum of crude oil. We also have the Krishna Godavari KG-D6 basin, which Reliance has explored and is exploiting through large gas reserves are also present in KG-D6 basin. We also have Rajasthan basin, where Kayan and Vedanta are very active. In fact, one of the largest crude oil refineries is being built by HPCL in Rajasthan as we talk, and it was inaugurated by the Honorable PM. Assam Arakan Basin is also, it has the oldest oil field in India, which is in Digboy. It started in 1889. So oldest oil field in India is in Digboy in 1889 in Assam region. And we have Mumbai High, KGD6, as well as Rajasthan Basin in Barmer. Thorium reserves, we saw in the previous sessions of science and technology how fast breeder reactor has now reached criticality and why thorium reserves are now become very important for our nuclear energy future. India has the world's largest thorium reserves. 25% of the global uh, reserves are with India, and monazite sands are there in Kerala, where so thorium reserves are found in monazite sands of Kerala and Tamil Nadu. They are critical for third stage program, which is advanced nuclear reactor, after reaching criticality in the second stage of fast breeder reactor. So you have to understand in detail of how fast breeder reactors work, how do thorium combines with uranium 233 and give uh, or lead to the fusion reactions. Rare earth elements REs, China controls 60% of the global RE production and 85% of processing. India's RE deposits in Kerala are red sand monazite, AP, Rajasthan, and Jharkhand. India Rare Earth Limited is Government of India enterprise, and 17 rare earths are notified, which includes lanthanide, scantium, yttrium, etc. So, very important to note, there is major dependency on China for global rare earth minerals, and that's why one of the key reasons why US President traveled to China with his entire cabinet and 17 of the most powerful CEOs of the world. Rare earth is playing a major part in that. We also looked through in the previous videos of science and technology or environment that why recycling is very important, because we have more than 1 crore tons of e-waste annually, and if we can use that, then we can somehow lower our dependency on the rare earth elements from China. Coming on to agriculture, we have different, so state-wise rice production estimates, West Bengal being the highest producer, followed by UP and Punjab. So, which are the major cropping seasons in our country? There are three major cropping seasons. One is Kharif, which is the monsoon season, June to July, and then October to November. So, June to July, sowing happens, October to November, harvest happens. It is dependent on southwest monsoon. Rice, jowar, bajra, maize, corn, groundnut, and soybean are the major crops here. One should remember these crops. In Rabi season, which is mostly in the winter season, it's the sowing starts from October to November, and the harvest happens in February, March, or April. It is dependent on northeast winter monsoon and winter rains. Wheat, barley, mustard, gram, and peas are majorly grown here. Zaid is a season between Rabi and Kharif season, and mostly horticulture crops are grown in Zaid season. Some sugarcane is also grown in Zaid. Then we have a minimum support price or MSP, which is decided by CACP, Commission for Agricultural Cost and Prices. It recommends, cabinet approves, and recently MSP was increased for various crops. It covers 23 crops right now. One should also know the formula. We have seen that UPSC started asking in depth of the formulas, at least in economy. So one should understand how the MSP formula works. We have A2 plus FL, which is paid out cost plus family labor. And then farmers' demand is C2 plus 50%, which includes comprehensive cost, includes land rent into this C2 plus 50%. It is implemented mainly in Punjab and Haryana through Food Corporation of India. So what are the things to keep in mind? CSAP recommends MSP, cabinet approves it. It covers 23 crops. Go through all these 23 crops, at least remember their names, the formula, understand A2 plus FL and then C2 plus 50%. And how is it done? It is mainly procured through FCI, Food Corporation of India. PM Kisan was implemented in 2019, where 6,000 rupees per annum were given in three installments to landholding farmers. About 8.5 crore farmers are covered through the scheme. It is a 100% central sector scheme, and it is done through PM Kisan Samman app. 16th installment was released on January 2025. Annual cost to the exchequer is 60,000 crore rupees. We also have PMFBY, Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. Basically, it is a crop insurance scheme, and it leads to premium sharing. So farmer pays only 2% of the premium for Kharif, 1.5% for Rabi, and 5% for commercial and horticulture. The rest of the premium is paid by center and state. And IRDAI regulates the insurers. It is voluntary for non-loany farmers from 2020. So in PMFBY, the farmer has to pay very small amount of the premium, 2%, 1.5, and 5% as in Kharif, Rabi, and commercial, and the rest, that is 98%, 98.5%, and 95% is taken care by center and state. And of course, since it's insurance, so IRDAI would be the regulating body, and it has been made voluntary for non-loany farmers from 2020. ENAP, National Agricultural Market, started in 2016. NAFED operates it, and there are about 1,361 mandis across 23 states and 4 union territories integrated. It has one license across India. Trading can be done through digital platform, which reduces intermediary steps and helps in increasing margins for the farmers. It is linked to APMC mandis through state APMC reform, which is a prerequisite. So APMCs are generally reformed or taken care of by the state governments, and ENAM is linked to the APMC mandis. It also leads to digital platform or trading, which reduces the intermediary steps. The Digital Agriculture Mission has four pillars, which was launched in 2024. It has AgriStack, which has farm registry, farmer registry, and basically farm registry is the land registry. And over on top of that, you have Digital AgriStack, which is crop registry. So there are three major pillars of AgriStack: farm, farmer, and crop registries, one on top of the other. We also have Krishi DSS, which is decision support system for farmers, crop advisory through AI. Then there is Soil Health Card 2.0, which is digitized and GPS tags. We also have PM Kisan Mitra, which is FPO linkage platform. Very important. So our digital agriculture mission has four key components: AgriStack, which has farm, farmer, and or land, farmer, and crop stacks. Digitally, we have Krishi DSS, which is crop advisory through AI. We also have Soil Health Card 2.0, digitized and GPS tag. And we have PM Kisan Mitra, which is FPO linkage platform, which is FPO is farmer producer organizations. Bharat Vistar AI platform was announced in this budget 26-27, where AI advisory can be given through apps or via Doordarshan. We also have cyclones, heat waves, and disaster events happening across the country through due to the extreme events, which we have also read in the environment section or the environment video. Go and read through that video for revision. Then you have cyclone classification by IMD. There are various classifications. So why do we need to go into the depth of these classifications? Because in some PYQ, UPSC has actually asked through numbers of what is a depression cyclone, what is a cyclone storm, what is a severe cyclone storm, very severe CS, and extremely severe CS. Then super cyclonic storm, they have also asked what are the wind speeds for them. So NIO basin has been, so the cyclones which come in the Indian Ocean region, they are named by 13 countries: India, Bangladesh, Maldives, Myanmar, Oman, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Thailand, Iran, Qatar, Saudi, UAE, and Yemen. You don't need to remember all these 13 countries. You should just get a feel of it. And mostly these cyclones are named by these 13 countries. Recent cyclones are Fengal in November 2024 because of 30 centimeter rain in 6 hours. Then we had Remal in West Bengal and Bangladesh, which was category 1 cyclone. Dana in Odisha in 2024. Asna in Sindh, Gujarat. So the frequency of cyclones is more in Bay of Bengal, but we have seen that in recent years, even Arabian Sea has started seeing some cyclones. Biparjoy was the longest tracked cyclone in Arabian Sea in 2023 in Gujarat. Then there is heat wave criteria by AMD. Plain stations, a maximum temperature if it is greater than 40 degrees Celsius, and there is a departure of greater than equal to 4.5 degrees Celsius, or there is a severe departure of greater than equal to 6.5 degrees Celsius, then it is known to be heat wave. It means that for any region, if it has a temperature of greater than 40 degrees Celsius and it is combined with from its normal temperature, it has departed 4.5 degrees Celsius, then it is a heat wave. And if it has a departure from its normal temperature of 6.5 degrees Celsius, then it will be considered a severe heat wave. Heat wave. We also have coastal heat waves where maximum temperature criteria is only 37 degrees Celsius. For hills, the maximum temperature criteria is 30 degrees Celsius. 2024 saw India's longest heat wave stretch, and you would seen that NDMA has now started giving challenges to startups to build solutions for giving alerts or predicting heat waves using different technologies like satellite or weather stations and different sensors, because it has become a problem in India now due to global warming and climate change. Wet bulb temperature was one of the PYQs. It has crossed 35 degrees Celsius. Now, what happens there? Because it combines heat and humidity, so the absolute physiological limit for the healthy body or healthy adult in shade with unlimited water. Now, what happens is due to the wet bulb, humidity is very high. So, it is impossible to cool the body by sweating alone above this. So you have to consistently drink water, or you have to take some artificial cooling mechanism, because your body itself through sweating is not cooling down because of high humidity outside. And India is already breaching 32, 33 Celsius in Bihar floodplains seasonally. And that's why number of deaths also increases during more, heat waves or the summer season in India, because we are reaching or to the limits, physiological limits of our wet bulb temperatures. NDMA is a statutory body under the Disaster Management Act of 2005. It is chaired by the PM, and NDRF, which has 16 battalions under NDMA, is one of the quickest responders or the major responsible responders for any disaster. Each state also has its own SDMA and SDRFs, and there is something called Sendai framework related to disaster management, which has four priorities. One is understanding risk, governance during disasters, investment in disaster resilience, and preparedness for disasters. So NDMA, statutory body, PM is the head. It has NDRF for response, which has 16 battalions under it. And we also have state disaster management authorities and SDRFs. Sendai framework was for disaster management, and it has four priorities: understanding risk, governance, investment in DRR, and preparedness. We have Subhash Chandra Bose Apada Prabandhan Puraskar from 2026. It was awarded to Lieutenant Colonel Sita Ashok Salke, individual category, and Sikkim SDMA as institutional category. It is the highest national recognition for disaster management, announced on 23rd January on Netaji's birthday. So we have an Apada Prabandhan Puraskar named after Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. It was given to Sikkim SDMA as the institutional category and Lieutenant Colonel Sita Ashok Salke in individual category in 2026. Now, another important topic is soils, land degradation, and desertification. ICAR soil classification has 8 types. Alluvial, which has the largest area in India, 43%. It is rich and fertile, which leads to agricultural productivity in the country. It is mostly found in northern plains and deltas. Khadar and Bangar, you should know about these terms and how do they vary. It is rich in potassium, but poor in nitrogen and phosphorus, and hence the farmers in these regions of northern plains use a lot of N and P fertilizers. The black rigor soil in Deccan Trap, it is also called cotton soil because cotton grows very well in the black and rigor soil. It is self-flowing soil, rich in ferrous, that is iron, aluminium, and calcium. It is mostly found in Gujarat, Maharashtra, and Madhya Pradesh. Red and yellow soils are found in peninsular India. They are rich in ferric oxide, which is iron oxide, and they are poor in nitrogen, phosphorus, as well as humus, which is the organic content. So you should know about the entire soil map of India, which states or which pockets are different kinds of soils found, what are the different categories or the different uh, features of different soils, which are the crops which mostly grow in these soils, and which are the inputs which are required, where is urea required, where is N and P fertilizers, where are NPK fertilizers required. You should know about all of this because we are also facing a fertilizer shortage due to the US-Iran war. Laterite soils, well, they are formed due to the heavy leaching of silica under high temperature and rainfall. Residual aluminium and ferrous are found in this. These are found in Western Ghats where a lot of rainfall happens. West Bengal, Odisha, and Kerala. These are suitable for tea, coffee, and cashew, which are cash crops. It is not suitable for crops without fertilizers because it has very less mineral content, NP and humus. It is distinct from red soil. So laterite soil is distinct from red soil. It has less, it does not have ferric oxide, but it has residual aluminum and ferrous, and it forms due to high temperature and high rainfall because of heavy leaching of silica. We also have arid and desert soils in Rajasthan, which have very low organic matter and high calcareous matter of CaCO3. It is sandy. It can be productive with irrigation, like the Indira Gandhi Canal project. It has a Bhabar zone, where Himalayan foothills leads to boulders and pebbles, then leads to Terai, which is forest and waterlogged. Bhangar is old alluvium and upland, and Khadar is new alluvium and floodplain. So you can understand the fertility of different kinds of soil. Since arid or desert soil has low organic matter, it is not much productive. It can be productive through irrigation, but it is very sandy. Hence, it is called Bhabar zone. While Khadar is the most productive because it is new alluvium in the floodplains, and then you have Bhangar, which is old alluvium in the uplands. Land degradation in India, 96.4 million hectares, or more than about 100 million hectares, have been degraded in India, which is 30% of the total land has been degraded through the ISRO NRSC survey of 2021. Water erosion is one of the primary factors. 71% of the degradation happens through this. Then we have wind erosion, water logging, salinity, and alkalinity. Rajasthan, UP, and Maharashtra are most affected due to land degradation. UNCCD, United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification in 1994. India is a party to it. Land degradation neutrality target has been taken to restore 26 million hectares by 2030. So already about 100 million hectares have been degraded. We have taken a target under the LDN mechanism, which is land degradation neutrality mechanism, to restore 26 million hectares by 2030. And in COP16 of Riyadh in December 2024, under the UNCCD, we discussed the Drought Resilience Treaty, where it is the first UN drought instrument proposed. So in COP16, Riyadh becomes very important under UNCCD. Every UN convention has its own COP. So this COP16 is for UNCCD, which happened in Riyadh in 2024, where Drought Resilience Treaty was discussed, which is the first UN drought instrument which was proposed. Now we have read about PM Kusum in the previous video regarding environment and ecology. We have also read that how PM Kusum, along with so for Ramsar sites, how MG Narega is being used to rejuvenate mangroves. Then integrated watershed management program, now also under PMKCY WDC. Soil conservation. Then India's commitment to restore 26 million hectares under the Bond Challenge UNCCD. Campa funds released by states for plantation. So these are the different mechanisms through which government is trying to combat land degradation and trying to rejuvenate our lands. PM Kusum Yojana, MG Narega, integrated watershed management, India's commitment of 26 million hectares restoration under the Bond Challenge of UNCCD, and compensatory afforestation funds, the Campa funds released by states for moon plantation. So this was geography. Now we have covered all the major subjects or the static subjects which are asked in the UPSC examination. Few topics like international relations, defense, and soil socioeconomic parameters. I think instead of a separate video, you can just go through various coaching compilations. What I have tried to do through these sessions is give you a feeling of fullness, at least what are the major topics or the static topics which you should know or understand. So the points which are there in the slides, these are just indicative points. You should know the static concepts behind them. So your preparation should cover all these topics in detail, and your mind should be able to recall just by looking at these words. Only then you will feel confident while walking into the examination. So all the best from my side. I hope that you go through all these videos and also be very confident on your own preparation. And basically, during prelims, you just need to keep your mind open, apply all your knowledge, logic, lateral knowledge, and 100% of your mind actually, while not being afraid of the exam itself. You have to look at those 100 questions as puzzles, provide your full awareness to each of those questions, and solve them one by one. All the best. I'm hoping that most of you would do full justice to your preparation and you'd perform to the best level of your preparation. Whether you qualify in the exam or not, that's a different question, but at least you should be satisfied with your own attempt. So keep studying, keep giving your maximum energy in these last days, and go through these videos to have some level of confidence and try to recall most of the concepts which you have already studied. Thank you.